Pablo Picasso was one of the most important artists of the 20th century. He was from Spain, and his main work was painting and sculpture. Although he was born in Spain, he spent most of the rest of his life in France. He was one of the creators of the art style known as Cubism. He was born in the city of Malaga in the south of Spain in 1881. Picasso's father was also an artist, and he mostly painted birds and other animals. His father also became a professor of art and taught the young Picasso art from an early age. He was trained in traditional art styles, such as copying the work of the most famous artists. He was also trained in accurately painting the human body. In 1895, his family moved to Barcelona when Picasso was 14. While here, he tried to get into a very famous art school. The school usually only took students many years older, but Picasso was so successful in his exam that they let him in early. Picasso first went to Paris, France in 1900. At that time, Paris was the center of art in Europe, the art capital of Europe. His chances of becoming a famous artist in Paris were much greater than if he stayed at home in Spain. When he was in Paris, he met a new friend who helped him learn the French language and its literature. They became very good friends and started sharing an apartment. His friend worked during the day and slept at night, while Picasso slept during the day and worked at night. By 1905, his work had been seen, and he became popular with some famous art collectors and art dealers. Picasso also met many other artists, such as Matisse, who would become a good friend, but also a rival. Over his life, he was married 2 times and had 4 children. While he was in Paris, the Second World War happened, and Germany invaded France. Picasso's style of art was not popular with Hitler and his Nazi party, so he couldn't show any of his work during these years. He continued to paint, however, and after the war was over, he was free to show his art again. Picasso's style of art changed greatly over his lifetime. His father trained him in the traditional style of European art, which was very realistic and true to real life. He painted in this realistic style for much of his childhood and younger years. However, he then started experimenting with new styles, new techniques, and new ideas. People often say that Picasso went through a series of different periods in his art. He went through a number of different stages. His first period is known as the Blue Period, which was from 1901 to 1904. During this period, he painted in mostly blue paint with a bit of green. He often painted sad things, depressing things, like prostitutes, poor people, and beggars. After this, he went through the Rose Period, from 1904 to 1906. This is a more happy, optimistic period. He used a lot of bright, warm colours like orange and pink. At this time, he was in a relationship with a woman, so people think this happy period shows the mood he was in at the time. He then went into a period where he was influenced by the art of Africa, and then finally into what he is most famous for, Cubism. Cubism was the first abstract style of art. Picasso didn't want to continue with the traditional, realistic style of art. He wanted to do something new. In this new style, things were broken up into smaller pieces and then put back together in a different way. The goal was not to show the world as it really was, but to show it from a number of different angles. The goal was not realism, but to show things in a new way. One of his most famous paintings is called Guernica. This painting shows the German bombing of a place called Guernica. It shows the horror of war. There is a copy of this painting on the wall of the United Nations building, the UN, in New York. The way that Picasso invented new styles of art changed art forever. Picasso influenced or helped create almost every new style of art in the 20th century. He painted for 80 years, and his style changed all the time. Many other artists died and were only discovered after their death, but Picasso was extremely famous while he was still alive.